don't really got a whole lot to argue with inside of the top 10 with the AP because I really think it's, tomato in number 1 versus number 2, but I'm going to split that here while we're here. Georgia beat an Ole Miss team that I thought was Missouri 2.0. Turns out, no, Missouri was Ole Miss 2.0 because Georgia beat them 52-17. I would add here, though, Georgia had Brock Bowers for this Ole Miss game. They did not have him against Missouri. It seems to matter quite a bit because 19 is ridiculous. He'd be in the Heisman Trophy conversation if he played in more football games, but it's very clear that he gives them an edge. He is not the only thing that makes them go because they showed that, right, against Florida and against Missouri. But it's certainly one of the better players in the sport and certainly going to be the Mackey Award winner at tight end. But what they did against Ole Miss builds on what we thought was a great win against Missouri, a greater win against Ole Miss. Again, both of those games are at home, so Sanford gives you an edge. I'm not really as impressed by that as I am what Michigan did against Penn State, but that's because Michigan's on the road against what I think is a good Penn State team. But if you want to tell me that you think that Georgia's the number 1 team in the country, I would hear you. As opposed to a couple of weeks ago, I would not. They are beginning to look like the team that we thought they would be to start the season. I'm not going to discount what they did through the middle of this season. That's why I'm going to keep Michigan at number 1. But you certainly have an argument, right? Like if you wanted to say that they're the number 1 team going into the SEC championship game, I'm not going to be bothered by that because they haven't lost a game in their last 27 now, And we're talking about a Georgia team that hasn't lost at Sanford since 2020, right? You really got to do something to go beat up on this Georgia team. But I'm really impressed with Michigan. I love that they want to wear the black hat. I love that those guys in that building absolutely love Jim Harbaugh. And it doesn't really matter what we think about Jim Harbaugh or what we think about the sign stealing because the kids go out there and just mollywop who's in front of them. They do that against Maryland. They do it against Ohio State. It's going to be difficult to say they're not the number 1 team in the country because right now, that is who the College Football Playoff Selection Committee thinks is the number 1 team in the country. Back to what I was telling you about how Ohio State being good carries a ton of weight in this sport. I go down here. I still don't think that Florida State is a better football team than Washington. I also think Washington has a much better resume than Florida State. Remember, Florida State was tied 13 up with Miami at home with the backup quarterback in for Miami. Need to pull out 27-20 against the Miami team we don't think is any good. Washington has beaten ranked opponents and teams that have Heisman Trophy finalists and a Heisman Trophy winner, Caleb Williams. I don't know that Washington is going to win a national championship. As a matter of fact, Washington fans, I'm an Oklahoma fan. I'm telling you this. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I don't mean no shade. You feel like Oklahoma 2018, 2019. You feel like a really good team that would have way more fun getting snubbed in the college football playoff and going to play in the Cotton Bowl to beat up on James Madison, Tulane. Because it's going to hurt your soul to go 13-0 and then get stomped out by Georgia. I'm just telling you, as a person who roots for Oklahoma and went into the 2004 national championship game believing we had a good team, getting beat by Matt Lyon and the boys 55-17, booing Ashley Simpson at halftime, that ain't the way you want to go out, my guys. It feels different to get stomped out in a national title game or a national semifinal. I'm saying that's not what you want. But Florida State, y'all seem to. And since I can't stop y'all, fine. You really want to go ride that train? That Georgia train, that Michigan train, that Ohio State train? Cool. Have at it. Oregon feels like they might be in a better spot than both of those teams, even though they got the loss. I get that we all think that they're a really good football team, but again, that loss to Washington, if you lose to Washington, and remember how I'm talking about Washington just 2 seconds ago, what do you think you're going to do against Georgia or Ohio State or Michigan? Same thing with Alabama. They beat Georgia. I don't know that they could double up with that. I think they could win an SEC championship, but I think Kirby, given a month, he's going to be like, nah, enough of this. Let's go remind Tuscaloosa that they don't run a damn thing anymore. That's where I think they would be. Getting further down here, it's nice to see James Madison is still here for me at 18 and for them at 18, because I think James Madison is in a really difficult spot. I mean, they're undefeated, and I think they've lost 1 game since joining FBS, but they've been denied the waiver that they would need to be granted to play in a bowl game. And this is a big deal. It's a big deal for the Dukes because you are the New Year's Six bowl team for the group of 5 if you finish this season undefeated. There's nothing Tulane could do about it with that loss to Ole Miss, right? Same thing I think is kind of true if you're talking about Liberty, which I don't think Conference USA is any good. I mean, Conference USA championship is going to be Liberty versus New Mexico State, okay? I tend to think James Madison, and Tulane would mop the floor with both of those teams. However, this is why we have, I think, the College Football Playoff Selection Committee in place is for these sorts of issues, but it can't get to them if they are ineligible. So Charlie Baker, the president of the NCAA, is going to have to grant them a waiver, which we all hope happens because these dudes, they absolutely deserve to play in a bowl game, and they absolutely, going undefeated, would deserve to play in the New Year's Six bowl game because, again, they're playing in the Sun Belt. Sun Belt's a tougher league than the Conference USA. It's a tougher league than the American. You go win that thing, you run undefeated, I think you deserve everything that's coming to you. I got Oklahoma at 13. They got them at 14. That's fine. I got Kansas State at 16. They got them at 23. Again, that's fine. I would have loved to have seen Iowa in their top 25. I don't understand why we're not giving Iowa its proper amount of respect. That is a team that's already clinched a share of the Big Ten West Championship. It's probably going to be the Big Ten West representative, and we could probably end up with them getting mollywopped in the Big Ten title game. But given what they have been through this year, firing the offensive coordinator mid-season, losing the starting quarterback in Cade McNamara, asking Deacon Hill to do a job that, frankly, he was not supposed to do this year, and getting Phil Parker's defense to still hold up. Goodness me, man. I don't know how you don't make that team a top 25 ranked opponent and keep, say, Oklahoma State in here. Oklahoma State got stomped out by Central Florida 45-3. That's a bad look. That's a terribly bad look. Ollie Gordon got stuffed. That's a terribly bad look. Now, you got to fill these things out, right? So really I'm arguing about, do I think Tennessee is a better football team than Liberty? Yeah. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Do I think Notre Dame is a better football team than Liberty? Yeah. Yeah, I do. And UNC, I can't respect you right now. I can't respect you right now. That's the reason you're not here for me. You lost to Georgia Tech and Virginia in back-to-back weeks. You need to pull out an overtime win against Duke without Riley Leonard at home. I am insulted. I am absolutely insulted. No, you've beaten FCS Campbell. That is your demonstrative win out of the last four. Nah, dog. I'm not giving you credit for being no two-loss team and no watered-down ACC where Louisville is a one-loss team. I don't have Louisville in my top 10. Otherwise, it just don't make no sense. I got to hold my nose and put Louisville right there at 9 ahead of Penn State because they got one friggin' loss. You know what their one friggin' loss is? Pittsburgh. You know who Pittsburgh is? Nobody. Nobody. Ugh. Notre Dame, I got to respect the Louisville loss now because it's the only one. You know what I'm saying? They only got one. But y'all this close. Y'all this close too. All right? Y'all are the only thing, you and Tennessee, the only thing keeping me from putting Liberty in this thing alongside UNC. All right? We ain't friends, but we respect each other, Notre Dame. All right? Tennessee, don't do no more 7-point games against Missouri's. Stop making this difficult for me. This is supposed to be easy. This is supposed to be fun. No, I'm arguing about UNC and Liberty. I'm arguing about Tennessee and Liberty. Get out of here.
If you like what you've seen, consider subscribing to the #1 college football show on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast.